Minhoa. And insert it through the hole in the base plate. Make it catch the clutch. And there you have it. There's a little bit of dust in them. I will have to re-clean the crowns and the one that stands. These were not perfectly, didn't come perfectly well. So next is the setting lever for, oh sorry, picture. And now it's the turn for the setting lever for the alarm. This is a bulkier, rather larger lever than the first one. And there you go. So after the setting lever for alarm, it's the turn of the switch lever A, which is this kind of Y-shaped golden lever. Obviously it is not gold. Probably it's gold-plated copper or something like that. And even if it were real gold, it is so small and tiny that it wouldn't really matter. So this goes here. Oops. And there you have it. Mandatory picture. And now it is a turn for the coil blocks, and in particular the coil block for chronograph minutes, coil block for alarm, coil block for chronograph second, and the last coil block, which is just called coil block. In the manual, yes, I am following the manual. While I do this, because I want to name the parts correctly, because I tend to forget the names of them, so sorry about that. But anyway, so the chronograph for the coil block for alarm, that's this one, which is identical to the other coil block for chronograph minutes, which goes here. Then we have the two coil blocks for chronograph second and the normal coil block. I just noticed that one of the lever had jumped out during my tinkering. Bear me a second. So, okay. So they're pretty easy just to put in. They are all identical, so it doesn't really matter when you put one or the other. They do have different names, but it's just for differentiate them when you install them or when you remove them, just to get, oops, wrong. Okay. So cool. Now it's time to put the rotors in place. The rotors are the most critical parts, actually. Why? Because they are made of plastic with a magnet, earth magnet body. So if the plastic part breaks, and specifically the tips or the pivots break, then you have no chance to rebuild in it like you would in a normal watch, mechanical watch, where you can rebuild the whole stem and pivot of a wheel that broke off. In this case, you only can replace the rotor because of its plastic body. You cannot rebuild it. And there you go. the first one. Second one. Third one. And fourth one. Cool. Picture. Now, after the rotors, the next step, the setting wheel for alarm, the minute wheel for alarm, the center minute wheel for alarm, and the intermediate alarm wheel. And these are all placed in this area here. So for convenience sake, I will just turn it this way, so I have free access with the tweezers. And let's go. So I will take the chance and put also the setting lever for the hour. That was the setting wheel for alarm. Now the minute wheel for alarm. The minute wheel for alarm is a white wheel. It's this one. And this one goes here. You see how they interact? Now the center minute wheel for alarm. It's this one. You can see it's a wheel with a stem and the leads are underneath, so that the minute wheel for alarm can grab on it. I am checking if everything is fine, if all the teeth are there. Removing specks of dust along the way. And everything looks fine. Right. Great. So this is how they interact. And now the intermediate wheel for the alarm, or intermediate alarm wheel. It's one of the 3 white plastic wheels. And this one in particular. A word of caution when you do this, when you replace these intermediate wheels, because they look the same. There are 3 of them. They look the same, but only 2 are identical, while the 3rd one is is a little bit different, and I'll show you how to recognize them. On the upper part, the intermediate wheels, or 4th wheels, have a design partner like a cross, 4 leaves, 4 lobes, while the other, you can say that this is a 3rd wheel, it has only 3. So there are 2 wheels like so, and 1 wheel like so. So this is how you recognize them. And there you go. Another small trick that I learned is either now or before you place the top plate, to close the movement, just gently push the rotors against these intermediate wheels. Don't worry if they bank a little bit. The thing is that if you do like that, and if well, let me rephrase that. If you leave them a little bit separate like this, you see they're not touching one another. You see? Chances are that when you put the top plate on it, on the movement to close it, the pivot of the rotor will be obviously off-centered and will not be able to come back in place, in the correct place, and so it's possible that it will be damaged and broken off. If you gently push the rotor against the intermediate wheel, make it touch like so. Just wait a second until my camera focuses. There you go. So you see it's just gently tapping. It's tipping also the wheel a little bit. It doesn't matter. To the side. It's tipping it to the side. Doesn't matter. But if you do like that, then the rotor is basically almost perfectly aligned to the hole, and so it will cause you no issues when you put the top plate back on top. I learned this because in the time I broke a couple of pivots from these rotors, not paying exactly attention to this fact. Now, after the intermediate alarm wheel, it's a time for the minute counting wheel. I have to take a picture. What I'm also observing is that this particular rotor is a little bit damaged on the leaves on the top. Let me see if I can grab a nice picture. Can't zoom that much. Well, they are all the same. They all have a small step on the leaves. So I hope this doesn't cause any trouble, because I've never observed such a step. Or probably it was already there and I never noticed. So now it's the turn for the minute counting wheel. Ow. And the minute counting wheel is just right. Let me check the pictures. Okay. Should be this one. It's this one. Like I said before in my other video, this is a 74-2 movement, not a 3-2 movement. And the peculiarity is that the circuit block is programmed so that the chronograph, the minute counting wheel can act also as a timeout. So it's just an electronic program in the chip of the circuit block. There's no particular or special wheel or cog or whatever to make that happen. I hope you saw that. Yeah, you did. So it's just the fact that the chronograph, not the chronograph, the minute counting wheel, just instead of turning clockwise, it turns counterclockwise, because of course it's a timer, so it goes backwards. Now a picture of the minute counting wheel installed. And the movement at this point. And now the intermediate minute counting wheel, which, as I said, it's just like a small fourth wheel. It has 4 lobes like the other one for the alarm, and it goes here. Again, push the rotor against this intermediate wheel. Doesn't matter if it tilts a little bit, but it's good so. After the intermediate counting wheel, we go to the setting wheel, which I had already placed. It's this one. And now the minute wheel, it's a big chunky wheel here. And the minute wheel goes, of course, under the yoke arm and in the a speck of dust made its way. So when I move the setting wheel, the minute wheel and the hour wheel to just move. Great. Second intermediate wheel for second counting. Incredibly long name. And is one and the biggest of the two green wheels. See, this is the big one, and then there's the smallest one. You can see the difference inside pretty well. So, but before putting that in, picture. And now the last intermediate wheel, the white one with 3 lobes on top. And this will be called the first intermediate wheel for second counting. Again, pushing the rotor against it. And a picture of the movement. After this, second intermediate wheel for second counting and the first intermediate wheel for second counting, we go to the fifth wheel and pinion, which is a small metal wheel with 3 holes on it.